Hi everyone, Raphael Harry here, and you're listening to White Label American, a podcast where we hear stories from an immigrant or two, sometimes more. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to another episode of White Label American. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being with me 2 years on this journey. Let's make it 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. And invite your friends, lovers, secret families. Hey, no judgment. Bring them all. And for our new listeners, hey, go on our Link3/White Label American. Our new website will be coming up soon. Well, on the show notes, you have our new website. And yeah, you can actually go there, go access our Patreon, or go straight to patreon.com/White Label American pod. And yeah, become a contributor, help us build our team or expand our team because we have more projects that we are going to be launching from 2022. So this team gets bigger and bigger, and we'll got more fun stuff coming up. You can also get our t-shirts at vetclothing.com. You'll be supporting veterans and Black-owned businesses, and you'll be supporting this podcast too. We need your money, so bring it. And if you know Jeff Bezos, hey, tell him that he can also have another black bald friend here. And we don't need 100 million. We'll take 5 million or 10 million. It's all right. Okay, now enough of that. Let's dive into today's awesome guests, which is a record. We have two wonderful friends. First time that we're having two wonderful people as friends, as guests. And they're in two continents, two different time zones. Never done that, so it's a record on the podcast. And not only that, there's so many wonderful things about these women. They're content creators. They are there's a forensic toxicologist without the heels. I was disappointed when I found out about that. But hey, there's passion in styling and fashion. There's a marketing specialist. There's an English teacher. There's so many wonderful stuff that's in here. We're going to be in Europe. We're going to be in Australia at the same time. There's so much goodies in this episode that's coming that you're going to learn about today. I'm going to learn, so you're going to learn. We're all going to learn. And we're going to learn having a great time. So hit that subscribe. Get ready. Start your engines. We're going to begin now. So welcome on board Amanda in Melbourne and Rumbi in Prague. Thank you for joining us today. How you all doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm so honored to have you guys here. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having us. Hello.
Hi, Ruby.
Hey.
So we connected not too long ago, and I'd always thought about bringing you guys here, and but because of distance and the time differences, I was like, we don't know how. Maybe I'll wait a little bit, and then I just thought about hey, maybe I should just try asking and see. Let's see, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And ta-da, now we are here. So I'm really happy, and I'm grateful that you guys were able to make this work, and I understand that you guys were able to sacrifice on your side, giving me your time, and I really appreciate that. So let's dive in straight to your names. So I know I only gave your first names, but you can also dive into your middle names and your last names. So you guys have beautiful names, and you're from a part of Africa that I have a family that's from there. Some of my cousins. I have an aunt who married one of my uncles who lived in Maryland. Well, one of my cousins still in Maryland. Actually, two of them. So yeah, and my aunt. So those are the first people from that part of Africa that I got to know that are from your country of birth. So could you tell us about the meaning of your names and your places of birth? And how it ties together. Maybe we go in
Amanda, please
alphabetical
go ahead.
orders.
Yeah, standard.
My name is Amanda, but my Shona name, my middle name is Tafara, which means we are happy.
Wow.
So yeah, my brother named me that. I don't know what he was thinking, because I'm
Oh,
sure he was not happy when I was born.
Your brother?
But yeah. But yeah, so and obviously come from Zimbabwe, Harare to be specific. So that's the capital city, and I also happen to be born and raised there. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
My name is Rumbi Zai Non Tokozo. Rumbi Zai, it means praise God, praise God. And Non Tokozo means joy. And yeah, just like Amanda, I was born in the 263. We actually don't call it that, but in Zimbabwe, yes. In Harare, born, raised in Harare, in South Africa, in Ghana, and back to Zim. So that's a bit of my story.
Wow, I was not expecting a name with a meaning, praise God, because that's like my tribal name is Oin Laifa, and amongst my tribe, a lot of names that I get tend to be like God is supreme, God like my name is nothing supersedes God, and a lot of people in my side tend to have names that are like God is great, God is awesome, rely on God, and I'm like, wait, is this how we always named ourselves? Because I know we don't worship when people worship one God. It was then Christianity came because we were amongst the first to come in contact with Europeans when Europeans arrived, and then that's how we converted to Christianity via Catholicism first, and then Pentecostal. What's going on my tongue? Became Pentecostals, and then went the full spectrum of Christianity, and I don't know. To me, I just feel like that just took our names to different levels. That's my way of reasoning with the names. So, because if you see other tribes in Nigeria, like the ones who I've had here, and since I started asking about the names, like the Yoruba side, some of the names are like, my family used to be people who dealt with one of my good friends from Instagram, the progressive migrant. His family name was his family were the guys who were what was it called again in English? I'm trying to recall, but they were like the mediums who interceded between the living and the dead, and so they were a guide. That's what their name translates to, being the guide of the living and the dead. So that was their job. And then today he's a therapist, which his practice is called the guide. So it kind of relates.
Nice.
But yeah, so there's something like, but a lot of Yoruba names don't tend to be like God is this. God is, it doesn't really, yeah. But if you see those who convert to Islam, then you start seeing that their names also are like water, clear. And I'm like, wow, it's just, so that's why I like asking about the meaning of names, because it's fascinating what you get from different parts of Africa or the world. You never know what you get, and it also shows a connection to different places. So I didn't even realize that, somewhere, because Rumbi, are you also China?
Sorry, am I?
Are you also China?
Chana?
Did I? That's
Shona.
Shona. Sorry.
Shona.
I just went with the English pronunciation. Yeah.
No, well, I by tribe I'm Ndebele, which is another tribe.
Oh, okay.
My dad is Ndebele. My mom is Shona, hence I have a Shona first name. My middle name is Ndebele. But yes, I think in terms of having a religious meaning to my name, it is because of Christianity taking deep roots in Zimbabwe. My grandparents on my mom's side were very involved in the church and so on and so forth. So, yeah.
And Amanda, you said your brother named you. Is that common for a sibling to name a child? instead of the parents?
No, it's not common, but my brother is very revered in our family because he's the oldest son.
Okay.
So I feel like he just took his right to just do what he wants and named me. But it wasn't like a well thought out, like and I think my parents just wanted him to be involved. So
Okay.
he decided. I never actually asked him why, but that's what he was happy, I guess. But I'm sure he wasn't when I started coming to like take over. But yeah, it's not common.
That is beautiful that you shared that because I know one time I attended a naming ceremony. I don't know if you guys do that, but we a lot of us, no matter the tribe. Well, I know when I was in southern Nigeria, I remember attending naming ceremonies, we tended to be for boys. I think for both boys and girls was after 7 days after the child was born. So after the child gets, if you're Catholic, the baptism, and if you weren't Catholic, then I think circumcision for the boys, or I don't know if they did it for girls who got circumcised, but I know for boys it was the same day of circumcision, and then they go to church, and then the name is given, and then at home there's a party. Nigerians love creating parties for everything. It cuts across all tribes. And I think only the Muslims, I might not really, I don't recall doing that with Muslims from the north. And I don't recall what tribe the person was from who was doing the naming ceremony, but I was a kid I think I was closer to 10 or 11. And we were at this house, and it was kind of like a secular, the way they had us was a little bit like a semicircle. And I was in the front row, and the MC went around each person and said, you shall give this child a name, the baby a name, and that's the name you call the baby. I don't know what they were thinking. So everybody had to come up with a name, and they came up to me, and I had to give the baby a name. So luckily, by then I already had access to the book of names that my other sister used to have. So I named the baby Moses. And they said, why did I name baby Moses? And I think Moses is drawn from water. But I knew the meaning of Moses then. And I said the meaning of Moses. They're like, wow. I was like, wow. So they're like, that's what you call that baby. I don't know that child today. If I see that boy, I don't even know who to. I don't know, but that's how I named somebody Moses. But yeah, that memory just came to my mind now. So, Ruby, you called Harare the 263 or 223?
Yes.
263.
263. Well, Zimbabwe, that's our country code.
Oh, the country code. So wait, Harare just claimed it for itself too? Or?
No. I'm just saying in terms of the country, I come from the plus 263, and then I think the area code is 4 for Harare, if I remember. People still use landlines.
I don't think people are using landlines. But
hey, the days of landlines. Hey, that was done. Great times. Yeah. Great times. Especially if you had them dial, the ring.
Yeah.
I forgot the number. I got to start all over again. Ring.
Or tap dialing if the phone was locked. I don't know if you guys had that
when you were growing up. Yes.
In Nigeria. But in Zimbabwe, locking your phone was so common. Like they wouldn't want the help or like the kids to be calling.
Mm-hmm. Yep. People did that. Yeah, and man, we never had a phone at home, but the lengths we had to go to befriend people who had phones, man. Oh man, you're bringing some memories that I don't need to blow my cover. So Harare, you guys were in Harare, and I think that was a different time to what Harare is like now, based on the little that I know. So what was childhood like for both of you?
I think for me, I really enjoyed my childhood. I was very lucky that obviously Zimbabwe was in a different space than it is now. I just remember like being carefree and having all the access to stuff. So, being able to go to the movies or with family or meeting up all the time or, playing outside with your cousins on the weekends or friends. Like it was just a typical happy childhood in terms of I'm sure for the kids growing up in Zimbabwe now, it's very different in terms of access and getting all these things. But back then it was just a happy, safe childhood.
I don't know if I should answer next.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
sorry.
hear both perspectives.
Oh, for me, I think it was interesting. I think of travel when I think of my childhood because, as I alluded to, we moved a couple of times. And I think exposure, I think that's what I think of when I think of my childhood because, you know, we lived in Ghana at a time where the return hadn't happened yet so much. Like people were still, it was still new and really I discovered how different we are depending on where you come from. It was I'm very, very grateful for the childhood I had because it shaped me, I believe, into the person I am today. I was always a more introverted person and struggled with the moves from place to place, unlike my brother and sister. But in retrospect, it really was an important part of my upbringing. So yeah, just family, a lot of family time, travel, and just, doing what kids do.
All right. So with that being said, what would both of you consider your favorite childhood memories?
Wow, good question. Probably going on family holidays or trips. My dad used to travel a lot for work, but within Zimbabwe especially. So I feel like quite proud that I've seen like all corners of Zimbabwe, like because obviously they didn't take us along if it was a local trip.
Yeah.
And I just really remember that distinctly because sometimes you go back to school and you'd be like, oh, we were in Mashingo, we were in Vurwi, or we were in Cholocho, or we were in Plumtree, all these places that like are smaller cities, smaller towns, and I guess don't ever get that aspect of them really, really showcased, you know, being a tourist town or it's not really popular. So I think I really appreciated that now because I'm like, oh, actually those little trips were crucial to my knowledge of Zimbabwe.
Do you have any particular place that you went to that something like any place that you went that you had a moment that was like wow during those times?
I think for me, probably always be Nyanga because my dad would then relax. And Nyanga is like a mountainous area. It's very hilly. It's very green. It's just lush. You know, those places you go and you can just sense life and nature. And we would go fishing, which is so random, right? Because my totem is a fish. I don't know if in Nigeria you have totems, but we have totems. So it was like quite special that we were doing something that's like tied to us, kinship. And you know, when you're fishing, you actually stop and chit chat and spend the day. It's not such a quick activity. So I think that was probably always a highlight.
And you, Rumbi?
Oh, for me, definitely, I think time spent with cousins at my grandparents' place. My mom especially comes from a really large family. And in total, we were about 30 odd cousins from my mom's side.
Wow.
So we would go to my grandparents' place and you'd be so excited to see each other. And there were way too many of us. I mean, not all 30 of us went at one time, but a whole bunch of us went at one time. And, you know, sleeping on the floor in my grandparents' living room. And my grandfather used to buy us freezers. Freezers are these like cool drinks in plastics that you freeze and then you like suck on them, like really typical for kids. I think lots of places have a version of that. And my granddad would be like, oh, let me go buy freezers for my grandchildren. But like, meanwhile, he's the one taking them down, like, you know. We used to have like story time with my granddad would fall asleep and he'd always wake up just as we said amen after prayer. So like, you know, it was just funny, just those memories of like family and being together because it wasn't too long and then we all started being dispersed and all over the world. And those, at least we have those memories, like we had that time and that to share together as cousins.
Wow. So when Amanda said her totem is a fish, my tribe, the just we're riverine people mostly, and fishing is a big thing for us. So although I'm not big on eating fresh fish, which I inherited from someone, and I will find out as an adult because they used to beat me as a kid when I wasn't eating fresh fish. But yeah, it's so when you said that, I was laughing because like even my state back home in Nigeria is the flag has a dolphin and a shark, and there's some parts is like crocodiles. Some people have crocodiles. That's like my village. It's not my village. Sacred animal is a monitor lizard, but if you go to like Nembe, which is right by the Atlantic Ocean, a dolphin is a sacred animal there, and then across on Bonny is they both are like huge oil gas places. Bonny has sharks. Yeah, I think all sharks are like sacred, but you can they do some they do some silly tricks, the fishermen there, because if this one catches the shark, they'll pass it on to the other guy whose dolphin is sacred, and if those guys catch dolphin, they'll pass it on to Bonnie, so they exchange, and then so each one can get away with killing. But if the Nembe guy kills a dolphin by mistake, they have to give the full burial.
Oof.
And it's the same thing with like monitor lizard in my village. Monitor lizards come in and they have a feast. Like if you have a poultry, they come in and steal the chicken eggs and all that. You can't, you're not allowed to touch them. Yeah. So, but they're still aquatic because if you've seen them swimming, they're very good swimmers. Their head is always out of the water and they're swimming, and so. But there are a lot of fishing people in our areas, men, women, very strong. So that's why the oil, the pollutions that we get from crude oil is very devastating in our lands, because we produce like 40, like my home state produces like 40% of Nigeria's crude oil. So a lot of our fishing lands, fishing rivers, and our farming lands are literally gone, thanks to the wealth of the country. Yeah, but so the totem fish, it's a big thing for my people. But I love smoked fish though. If you fish smoked fish, I can eat that. Fresh, miss me with that. Yeah. So you two have been friends for a while. How did that journey begin? How did that get started? Because Rumbi, you moved around a lot during your childhood, and Amanda did not. You were within Zimbabwe.
Also in Zimbabwe.
So how did you two become friends?
So just to speak on my moving around, my family moved back to Zimbabwe in 1997, I think. So I was still in junior school, primary school, elementary school. I don't know, depending on where you come from, you call it different things.
Yeah, I think here it's elementary, but in Nigeria it'll be primary.
Yeah, so I just managed to finish. So I ended up finishing primary school in Zimbabwe, and then we met in high school. So from the very first year of high school, we were at a boarding school together.
Oh, and I've got a lot of boarding school guests on this podcast.
So I don't know, Amanda, maybe you can give the backstory, but that's how we
I don't think there was one.
None?
I think it was very organic. There wasn't one. I mean, having said that, we went at that time, it was a predominantly white school. So the group in our year, there was less Black girls than there were white girls when we started anyway. So obviously you kind of like were friends with every Black girl automatically, because you're like, okay, there's only 20 of us. It's not that hard. Like, you're friends with everybody. So initially, obviously very organic in that way. But as the years went by, and definitely towards by the time we left, because it's 6 years of O level and A level. Yeah. We then obviously became much closer by the time we left A level. So it's I think people are always waiting for some grand story. But no, very organic, girl meets girl, and just gets along and takes it from there. And obviously friendships take work and take communication and all that. And ours has been just the same. So then since 2007, early 2007, we've then become, predominantly a long distance friendship.
Okay, hold. We'll get to long distance. Before long distance, yeah, you already caught my interest with a few things. So there's no grand superhero origin story there, but I'm still gonna make it grand. We're gonna come back there. So, in boarding school, were you guys in the same hostel, or how did your boarding school work?
Oh, it changed per year.
Oh,
they move around. Like you wouldn't have a same. So in our first year, we were like 12 in a dorm. How many were we? I don't even remember. It was something like 12 or 16 something in one dormitory. I don't know if we shared a dorm in Form 1 together.
No, we didn't.
And maybe not even Form 2. I think it was Form 3 when we actually shared a room. We had a room of 3 or 4. 3. I think it was a room of 3. So as each year progresses, you can tell the rooms are getting smaller. So yeah. So it changed. You always were changing. There wasn't one set room or partner or dorm mate that you stayed with. It changed often.
Fascinating. So overall, what was your for both of you? What was your boarding school experience like? I asked this question because I've had multiple boarding school guests on the podcast in Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana. I'm familiar with boarding schools in Nigeria. I was a day student, but I had friends in boarding school. We knew what went down. We knew the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I know for on the girls' side, for women, it's a little bit different from the boys. But it doesn't mean the ugliness still wasn't there. So,
1,000%.
Yeah. So, but you guys tell me what was your experience like? Because some people have said it was glorious. I don't know if I know some people don't want to say what theirs was like. Really, I know one or two didn't want to say it, but I was like, that's fine if you just want to glorify it. It's okay. But yeah, so yeah, in your own words, what was your boarding school experience like? Especially for people who were in a predominantly white school. I don't think I've had anybody with such an experience on the podcast. So yeah, I think you guys might be the first.
Well, for me, I didn't move around countries like Rumbi did, but I certainly moved around schools within Zimbabwe, primary schools.
Okay.
So for me, boarding was like a nice time to just be stable. Like, you know what I mean? Like the whole 6 years I was at the same school. I didn't move around to high schools. So I found it quite welcoming. I also only have male siblings. So this was my whole interaction with females.
Yeah.
I got all male at home and then all female at school. So I actually really enjoyed high school. Awkward time, of course, you're trying to discover yourself and see your place in the world, so to speak. But generally, it was a positive experience for me. But I'm also academically inclined. So I guess when you're top of the class, you're like, everything's good. You don't really notice all the other things because you're like, well, I'm doing what I came here to do. So I don't know about y'all. But I mean, definitely, it's the typical things, right? Your first crushes, your people bullying you, your everything. But I always got that sense of community. And still now, like when we meet people from our high school, we'll still like, grab a coffee or chit chat as if you've known them. And then you realize, oh, wow, I haven't seen you in like 20 years or whatever. But that sense of community has always been there. Somehow they instilled that in us where you kind of have this common, we suffered, we know what we went through, those 2-minute showers, those cold, because where the high school is very cold.
Yeah.
Those cold mornings, so it's like I don't know, it's like it ties you for life. I don't know.
Yep, for sure. For sure. And I think for me, I think because I had moved around so much, as Amanda alluded to, you crave just that place to just be. But I was a nerd too. And I used to read a lot of books, and I really got into books about boarding school. And I also like books like the famous five and the idea of like living with friends and like experiencing life together.
Famous
So
five. I haven't heard of that
I
in a long
knew
time.
I wanted to do it like from the get-go, that boarding school was for me. My sister did not. She's older. She did not go to boarding school, but I was adamant that I wanted that experience and come through the bad times, the injustices we felt and the whatever, like I wouldn't trade it for the world. Best experience, best. I loved it. I think I just got to flourish and, you know, be in my own little world within boarding school, which is weird, but like I did. So yeah, I don't know. It was good. It was good. Yeah.
Awesome. Two quick questions on your boarding school experiences. Were your teachers mostly white?
Well, Zimbabwe went through a transition at that time. Obviously, if you know a bit about Zimbabwe's history, that's around the peak time of when we had our land reform.
Yeah.
So when we started,
okay.
it's definitely
Yes,
the look of the school when we started to when we finished would have been different. I think when we started, it was predominantly white teachers and white students, but towards the end, like 6 years later, there would have been a shift purely because a lot of white people did leave Zimbabwe. So I would say definitely more white when we started, or traditionally it was a more white school.
Okay. Well, the school. So is this school considered a private school or government school? Or how does your system work over there?
It's a private school.
Okay.
So it's not government.
Okay.
A government school.
Yeah, because in Nigeria there's some federal owned schools that are like some of the highest rated. They're highly rated, even more than private schools. But like to get in there, it's like you're literally fighting to get in there. If you have the best connections before you can get in there, and but they're all boarding schools. Yeah, so that just crossed my mind. So just let me check and see if you guys have something similar over there too. I think Kenya has some. I think someone had mentioned Kenya having some schools like that, but I know there are lots of private boarding schools too. At the same time. All right. So before we jump into you guys moving out of Zimbabwe, we shall take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take the podcast out of the continent and move to continents. Hi, everyone. We've made it 2 years, and who would have thought so? So let's go further and make it 3, make it 4, make it 5, make it 6. Who knows? 20. But we can't do this without your support. So join us on Patreon at patreon.com/white label American pod or linktree.com/white label American. Go there and you see our Patreon link, and you can join us for as low as $3. We have bonus content, we have bonus materials. There's so much juice over there that we don't release to the public, and you can contribute in making this podcast better. You can send questions, you can send your ideas, and also there's a lot of new things that are coming. The announcements are made on Patreon first, because we have to, take care of people who help make this podcast possible. So you can be the one to make this podcast what you want it to be. Come join us on Patreon and make it what you like to see. Join us, make it fantastic. Keep the 5 stars coming in, keep the love coming in. Thank you for the privilege of your company. All right, let's begin. So who was the first to leave Zimbabwe? And who made the first journey out?
I think we made it in the same year.
Oh.
2007. Yeah.
Oh, that's the same year I left Nigeria.
Oh, yeah. So I went to university in must be January, Feb, and I think you went the later half of the year.
Same time.
Was it the same time? Okay.
Yeah, everyone starts semester around the same time. It's not like it's like January. Unless you're going to America, typically everyone starts school in February, January. Because obviously American semesters run different, but everyone else.
Hey, we got to, man. Yeah, we got to.
Yeah.
We're just special for no reason. So who because I know wait, Rumbi, you went to a different place first before your present location, right?
Yes, I was in South Africa. I studied there
Okay.
at Rhodes University. Shout out my rodents. That's what we called ourselves. Our
Wait,
mascot was a rodent. But
isn't that
yes,
the university named after that's the guy who
Cecil John Rhodes. Yes.
Problematic.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like, wait, I know that name. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
We're not gonna
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there now. We're not. I don't want to prolong the episode. Right? Today's not the day
today.
for his judgment.
Not today.
Not today. I'll come back for you, Rhodes. But you can also
Yeah,
send
no.
sponsorship fee and postpone your judgment just in case. Not saying
Yeah,
that.
so that's where I studied, and I worked in South Africa in Johannesburg for about 7 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then moved home, and then moved here.
Wow. So what was your South African experience like?
I don't know how to answer that because I think it was what I needed to do at the time, if that makes sense. It made sense. It's a neighboring country to Zimbabwe. I think it.
Oh, let me
showed me-
rephrase it. Sorry to
Okay.
cut you. Let me rephrase it because
Okay.
South Africa and Zimbabwe are like twins, if I may say. Because I've listened to you guys, and a lot of influences from Zimbabwe is heavily influenced by South Africa.
That's
And almost
by
everything,
virtue
like
of their economy being
Yeah.
stronger and
yeah,
better
and like
positioned.
I'm,
It was like
I'm
Canada, America, really.
Yeah.
That relationship.
in a way, but I guess,
But not economically, obviously, but just that
Yeah.
relationship where you're
okay,
like you're
yeah,
the same,
yeah,
but you're
okay.
like rivals.
Yeah. I think okay, yes. I think even like Canada, Mexico, America. I'll put it that way too, because Mexico influences a lot of America, but we don't give Mexico the credit. That put something like that.
I see.
Yeah, because if Mexico shuts,
Workers wise, that's the same.
yeah, a lot of
story.
Mexican workers come here.
story.
Like there's a part of that we don't really show where Mexican workers come here, get stuff done. A lot of American companies are in Mexico sending the products up here that we use. So yeah, we don't talk about all that. So, but a lot of Zimbabwe is intertwined with South Africa. So I know, like, if we go to the dark side of the xenophobia, like Nigerians like to like complain about that, but I'm like, when I bring it up, even in Nigerian chat rooms, people like to shut me down. Like, I'm like, the Zimbabweans have been getting the brunt of it mostly before every other person. It's Zimbabweans, but so why I asked that question that way was I was trying to gauge, like, you going to South Africa. It's like this place has always been like the quote unquote big brother to you guys. Everything comes from there. It's like, so now you're living there. It's like an expectation has already been built up. Was that expectation met when you were living there? Or to
be
it
fair,
fun?
we lived there when I was young anyway.
Okay.
So it wasn't completely new. I think yes and no. Like, I think it meets the expectations where you have certain comforts, like maybe electricity doesn't go as often, or you can earn a decent living, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like any move from home, there are other things you have to deal with, in adapting to a new environment and so on and so forth. But I made some really incredible friends, like lifelong friends, learned a lot. It's a huge country, beautiful, so much to offer. Also has a very difficult past and history. It helped me understand the nature of South Africa too. And I also did a course in the South African economy when I was studying at university. And that brought to light a lot of the history and backstory for me. So you don't just go in there as a Zimbabwean pointing fingers, but to really understand a bit of where a lot of it comes from. So yeah, I think it was a place that it needed to be for me at the time, and learned a lot, shaped me in a major way. Yeah.
I love that you said that. Just going there pointing fingers. You got to know about the history and the culture, because I think that's one thing that kills a lot of us, not physically but metaphorically. Because I try to know about many places, and the more I know about many places, I see how connected we are in our struggle without while we try to isolate ourselves and say I'm the only one that's going. It's like this Operation Olympics. Like I'm the only one, so I deserve to make it out. I deserve to be rewarded first, and
That's true.
True.
No other person. And because like every time there's the unfortunate xenophobic attacks, and I say in quotes, in South Africa, and and there's a lot of Nigerian channels start offering so-called responses that should happen to South African businesses in Nigeria. You see the language that they're using. I'm like, you're also saying the same thing that's happening.
Yeah.
So you're saying retaliation, right? And I ask, like, why does this happen? Nobody can tell you the history. We denounce all the history, and then it's like they don't like us, they hate us, and I'm like, so how come a whole bunch of South Africans are married to Nigerians? Why are they married to other people and all the? And it's like, no, they hate us because we are the best, and I'm like, why is this?
It's complicated, and to
it's
be
very
fair,
complicated.
I think Zimbabweans, we also have a privilege. As much as our country doesn't have the economic privilege, we have a level, especially for us born after our independence in 1980. We have a privilege that a lot of them do not have, because there's a lot of untapped frustration, anger, and resentment that was kind of just pushed under by the reconciliation kind of plan they had. So we come from a place where we saw our fathers working in top positions in their industries in our country, and Black people, running the show and owning property and empowered, which South Africans, it has not been given to them, and it's been a very difficult part. So
it's a great point. Great point.
We don't see our privilege.
Country. They're such a young country. Yeah. I mean, 94 is not that, if you think of countries' histories, 94 is very young for countries. So you're obviously dealing with those things. It's not such a far away concept.
And that's why I like that. I like having discussions like that, and I like asking for people's perspectives. And I also, when I have the chance to talk to others, I try to make them realize that, look, yes, at one point in time, I was that person too, was shouting, get them out, and, retaliate. But with time, I started realizing that, no, it's not as simple, it's not as black and white as someone is making it to seem. And whoever is making it to seem that way is, like, I have to question the messenger. Why is this person telling me do it like this? Why is this person making it look so simple? And then demonizing the other people. And I was like, wait a minute. They denounce everything. You don't get the whole picture of what's exactly is happening there. And then I know a lot of Nigerians who are walking there, and they're like, no, it's not like this. You're getting a whole different, no, stop reacting like this. And I was like, wait, so we should kick out all the South African companies that are providing jobs in Nigeria, helping Nigerians, and what will happen then? Well, we can replace them. Like, replace them with what? You don't want Chinese companies, right? But Chinese companies are ready to come in, and we'll figure it out. I said, here we go. And it's because you're in America, you're saying this. I said, oh God, this is why I don't get invited to some Nigerian.
It's layered.
cookouts.
It's a very layered thing. So many things to consider.
It is many things, and I hope people will consider it, because it's not a one-day solution. It's not if someone is telling you can get it solved in one day, I tell you to question them, because it's always in the little details. So Amanda, I've not forgotten about you. Yes, you left 2007, and so what did you went straight to the end of the world, or did you go somewhere else?
Yes, I came straight down under. For me, So in high school, I went to the same high school that my brother went to.
Mhm.
So unlike Rumbi, where they went to different high schools, I went to the same. So I was always like in his shadow in a way, especially because the later half of schooling, you go to the boys' school. I think I had two of my teachers not even know my first name. They used to just call me by my last name because boys get called by their last names.
Oh,
And they didn't bother to learn my name. They just, so like I
fascinating.
was very conscious that I didn't want to go to South Africa because my brothers were there and I didn't want to just again, have them insulate and surround me. I want to do my own thing. So luckily, I want to be independent, So luckily I could come to Australia. Like my dad was fine with me coming to Australia. So Gwen was in Perth initially, and then moved over to Melbourne about 4 years ago now, almost 4 years ago now.
Wait,
So just been in the two cities.
Your dad was cool with you going to the end of the world. Wow.
He was very open-minded. I don't know how I tricked him or what, or maybe he just saw the potential. I mean, having said that, a lot of aunts were like, and if you know, in a typical patriarchal African society, they were like, she's going so far, she's a girl.
I was switching into that patriarchal mode. I just switched back into that. Like, what? You mean you allowed your daughter to? Who's going to be watching her? Who's going to, what that girl will be doing?
All alone.
Who's going to look at that girl will be up to something. We need people eyes to be around her. That's how some Nigerian families will be sounding like the boy can go. Go. That's fine. It's fine. The boy can go.
Don't worry. Zimbabwean families are exactly the same, and
nobody cares about the boy.
The speeches were numerous, but like at the end of the day, he was trusting enough and open-minded enough to let me give it a go.
I love to hear that. Wow. So why Perth exactly? Yeah. Why did you pick Perth? Of all places?
I actually picked my university based on the degrees they were offering. So I was one of those geeks that was like, this is the one that's the best for this. So, it just so happened to then be in Perth. It wasn't like, so I did it the other way around because I didn't know. Australia, to me, it was all the same. So it doesn't matter if I'm living in one city or I knew I didn't want to be in Sydney because I just heard it's so big and I just thought, coming from Harare, like when you compare it to Sydney, such a small city. So I was like, okay, that might be a huge jump. And also expenses, like obviously a big city means you're going to be paying more. So apart from that, it was just based on my degree. So I was like, okay, the best university for this is in Perth. So that's where I'll go.
So you arrive in Perth. What was the first surprise, culture shock, or the first thing that, wow, I'm no longer in Africa, I'm no longer in Harare, what is going on here? What was the first thing that gave you that moment?
Probably the presence of a lot of Asians. Australia is, like I think when we're in Zim, especially for us, we had one Asian guy, I think in our year, one Chinese guy. But over here, you see them in all their arrays, all their different colors, all their, at home, whenever people talk about Asia, they just go, China. It's like, it's not only China. Mm-hmm. There's so many more cultures to learn and to glean all these things from. And I think that for me was the biggest shock because I thought I was just going to come here and learn about Australian culture, so predominantly white British culture. But it ended up actually being delving deeper into Asian cultures, which I'm really, really happy I got to do.
Wow. I wouldn't have expected that. But you're right, because most like people, the first Pacific, people I knew from Australia were all Asians. Because I think, and even one was a toxic, very toxic. Like, even back in my dark days, he was one of those that I was like, man, we can't be friends. Like, I was like, no, he even snapped me out of it. I was like, no, we can't be friends.
With an Asian Australian or sorry?
With an Asian Australian. He hated his own people and then hated.
Well, to be fair, that relationship is also very layered for them.
It is.
Similar to how, because they were teased in the beginning, because obviously there was less of them when they moved over. Similar story to us.
No, I understand it now, but the way he was cool with me, and I get why he was cool with me in the beginning, but when he started opening up, and I was like, I don't understand, I'm supposed to react to this because you're bashing people who look like you, and then It was like, oh no, it's
hurt people.
It's the same. It's
Yeah.
the same like Africans, man. I don't like Africans. I like I was born in Africa, man. I don't get it. It's like, oh
He
no,
likes
you're
African
different.
Americans.
You're different, man. You're from
different,
you're
yeah.
American. I'm like, it's like
Oh,
I hate the
gosh.
Africans that come here, and he just went full into it. I was like, I don't think this can continue anymore. Like I revoke my invite to you to come stay with me when you come to America. Like yeah, it's done. It's over. Blocked. That's it. Block your all my social media. You're gone. That was it. And he's still friends with people that I know, and they're like, "Oh, I don't believe he did." I was like, "Yeah, you're blocked too. Bye bye. You're go." But yeah, but I think that was like the first time it started dawning on me that there were people who I knew that hated, like actual hate. Like when the language, I can't even quote the whole language it was, but the language he was using, I think I was like I had said before we began recording, like I was in that bubble, like. Yeah, I'm like, oh, you can't be. We both people of color. We cool. Nah, this guy, when he opened up, I was like, whoa, I've known you for like 3 years. It was brutal. But now I get it. I know people, a lot. I've seen and met a bunch of people like that. I knew the ones who were hiding it. And I'm like, yeah, whenever, I hope you get the help that you need one day. There's something down there that you need help. That's it. That's all I can. I'm not a therapist. I can't fix it. It's not my job to fix it. But if you get help and you want to come back to the, you want to
Right side?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I live on the bright side because I kick you out if you misbehave. I like not kick you out, like literally I kick you like full kicking. Get out. I don't have patience for nonsense now. So. Yeah, I'm not opera nice. No. I'm Whoopi Goldberg brutality. No. But we don't need to go there. But yeah, so I think that was kind of an eye opener for me. Which like don't just jump into everybody Australian that you just meet. Like yeah. And then the person was like my Australian sister today. She's Australian Colombian, and who knew that's the person I'll be closest to. And yeah, so it's fascinating how it ends up working. But yeah.
Yeah, Australia is definitely a melting pot of different cultures, and there's a lot of people from everywhere.
Yeah. So back to Rumbi. You go from South Africa. You was moving, man. You was moving. You right from the beginning. You sure your name didn't mean mover or explorer or something? Because golly,
no,
this woman been moving. So you go South Africa. I'm trying to keep up now. South Africa, return back to Zimbabwe, and then when did you decide this is it? Setting foot out, jetting out of the continent. What made you take that decision?
Well, I knew I wanted to leave regardless, and I thought I would study, and that didn't pan out as I had intended. So I was home kind of like thinking, what is my next move? And the opportunity came along for me to come to the Czech Republic, and yeah, I took it. So I think I was at a crossroads in my life where I'd done all I thought I could possibly do, and I needed a change. I wasn't happy anymore. And kind of there was an itch that I needed to scratch, yeah, that's really how it happened, and trying to see how best to do it because I felt stuck and I needed to kind of get out a little bit.
So before I get to your wow moment after arriving in Prague, in Czech Republic. Was there a moment after you decided you were going that you were like, man, I'm going to Czech Republic. Is this, why don't I go Western Europe? Like, the usual safe spots, like maybe with Germany or France or, Czech Republic? Girl, what's wrong with me or something? Like, you didn't ever have that?
In that voice as well, Rumbi.
Well, I think people in that voice. I think externally people had that question for me, like, why didn't you come to England? I had some people ask, why didn't you go to England? Why didn't you? I knew that I didn't want to just go somewhere because that's where everyone goes. I've always not I've never been afraid to do things differently. The opportunity came for specifically here. And when I was younger, I had said I wanted to honeymoon in Prague. So there was also an interest there. Don't know how I knew about Prague or where I got that from.
But you
Lord
did read
knows,
a
but
lot. So.
there was an interest there already. So I think that's why it wasn't such a like, oh, no, let me fight and go XYZ. It was kind of like, well, this is an unusual place. No one's ever really done this. Are you sure? I mean, let's see and find out type of thing.
I think I know how you knew of Prague without knowing how you knew of Prague. You did read lots of books when you were younger, right? Yeah, that's how you knew.
And I also watched a lot of TV, maybe too. So
it's in
I
the
think
books.
Prague is one of those cities for people. It's like Prague, Paris. They have that vibe, that romance vibe.
Yeah, maybe.
Prague, it's in the books. Trust me, it's in the book. I read lots of books, and there are cities that I've read about as a kid that the name dropped when it was name dropped in books, and life will take me a different route where I do less reading now as I did as a teenager when life used to beat me down a lot and I was really, really in a dark place at a moment in time. And then sometimes because America we ran out of, I don't know, we just photocopied names of cities and we name our cities after every other city in the world. And you go someplace and wait a minute, you see this name, why is this name here? And then you're like, wait, how I know this name? It's in your database from someone. You know it, and you're like, this place is supposed to be, and then you call the country. Why did I know this? I've never been to that country. How did I know it's from books? It's not even from. By the time you see it in a TV show, you're like, yeah, I already knew this place. But it's. There are so many books that I've read that I read as a kid that I can't even tell you the titles. I can't even tell you. But one, like now, sometimes I do books on Audible, and sometimes I mistakenly get the books that I've read as a kid, and I'm like, why is this guy gonna do this? This guy, I'm like, wait a minute, why am I know this book. I'm like, I wasted my credits on this, and then so it's something which probably you had deposited in your brain and you didn't even realize it. So,
and I guess it's one of those things you manifest. They say it's kind of like you want to be somewhere and then you manifest and you think you're going to do X, but it leads you to this manifestation and you don't even realize that you had manifested when you said you wanted. Life is special like that.
See, I wish I knew people like you guys back, back in the days when I was like, I'm going to be traveling and doing some crazy adventures. And then I was like, but what if I do all this traveling? I won't be able to buy a house, and I won't be able to. I won't be able to. Because at one point in time I had that itch, and I had this. Yeah, I'm going to do this, and I'm like, but you know what? Maybe somebody should come with me, and But I really wish that. I love that you made it happen, and you went to Czech Republic because I could imagine myself back then trying to do some of my trips, and somebody like, what? You want to go? Where you want to go again? Ain't no black people there. Now I know better. But then it was like, ain't no black people. Why you want to go there? So you go to Czech Republic, and what was your first wow moment?
They don't speak English. Like, they really don't speak English. Like, they don't learn anything in English. Like, I was thinking, and it sounds so silly, but I was thinking like, I could not have imagined learning mathematics or science in Shona on Ndebele. Like, that's just wild to me. But it showed me really how Western washed, if I can call it that, our society is. And we think everything revolves around the English speaking. And it's really like, there's whole worlds functioning without, that influence. I was also amazed at how green and how beautiful it was, because you hear of Central Europe. I don't know what you think, but it's not, at least for me, I didn't really think it was going to be so scenic and such a variation. They've got, they don't really call it mountains. They say they have hills because they're not very high, but like you have hills and then you have some lakes, and I was taken aback by how beautiful it was. And also how how what's the word, sporty people are. Like they're very, in their leisure time, they go ride bikes, they go hiking, they like, that's life to them. They go for walks.
Yeah.
Amanda and I have inside joke about walking, just
no
but
purpose.
on no purpose, just go for a walk. But things like that like really took me aback. Or yeah, and how Budweiser, really the name and origins are in Czech Republic, and then America took it and ran with it, because I lived initially in that town. So just there were so many things, and how involved fathers are. I would see dads pushing prams just alone with kids. Sometimes they have 2 kids. I was like, where's mom? Like, coming from a patriarchal society, it's like, so there were a lot of random things that I was just like taken aback by, and it humbled me to be like, your perspective and view of the world is very limited. You need to open it up always. Yeah.
This is why I'm glad that I evolved the guests that I bring to the podcast, and we get to hear people's experiences and and learn. Because Budweiser, I be judging Budweiser every time I see Budweiser. Like, man, I'm not messing with this beer, man. This beer is it's not beer.
Trust me, the original is not that watered down. I don't know. They're very proud of their beer here and many other things. They're also proud of things outside of just being known for beer. But trust me, it's not the same.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the sporty side of things, I think that's the reason why I can't officially move to Europe. Well, unofficially move. I can't say officially. Unofficially. Because I was ready to quit America if Trump had won re-election. Because, it wouldn't have been safe for a black person like me. And most especially, I would have been able to survive as a black dude. But ex-military, there's certain ways I would have survived. But if I was single, no, not a dad, yes, it would have been a lot easier. But now that I have a daughter, it changes what I have to, the lengths I'm willing to go, and I have to think about my daughter first and what kind of world she has to grow up in. So, I was willing to move because my missus is from Germany and northwestern part. And every time I come to Germany, it's like, man, those people love bicycles, man. I go to Amsterdam, everybody riding bicycles. I'm like, God, I don't know how to ride a bicycle. You're gonna make someone have to learn how to ride a bicycle and then can't go anywhere. But that's the reason why I love New York. Everybody walks here. You can walk wherever, and I'm fine with that. Back in the days when I couldn't afford a bus fare, hey, we're gonna walk. That's it. So easy for me to adapt to that. But bicycle, like, come on. Now they've changed my street. They just upgraded my street now. It's a one-way street, bicycle lane. We're finally catching up, and. Yeah, Europe is like, man, y'all love sporty stuff there.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
I would have, I probably would have had 8 packs by now. I still have my 1 pack, so it's still good.
Funny thing is, they don't necessarily have 8 packs.
No, I know, but I'm saying me, I would have had 8 packs by now if I was in Europe.
Yourself,
But
sure.
Yeah, maybe the beer would have countered it too. Who knows? But we'll leave that is a science experiment to be found out later on. But but I do love all that every time I'm in Europe, and I still plan on coming to Central Europe. I haven't been to Central Europe yet. I've flown over it, and it's something that now that my daughter is getting older and she's cool with chilling with her grandparents, I can go dump her there. Bye. And I'm free to go on my tour and can begin. Maybe I'll learn how to ride a bicycle. I use what they call it, the moped, moped.
The scooter?
The one
motorbike?
The one you stand on. I don't do motorbikes.
Scooter. Yeah, it's like a scooter.
Is that called a scooter?
The one when you stand?
Yeah, that you stand on?
I don't think it's not a scooter.
Wow.
I don't know what the name is.
I thought
it is a scooter.
No, scooter you can sit.
I thought scooter you sit on.
There's ones where you can stand.
I thought scooter is like a Vespa too.
Like a moped or something.
Yeah, something of a...
Oh, well, I guess
I would still call it a scooter.
I feel really old.
I think it's moped.
Jeez. Times have changed. I'm really old. Jesus. Right. Anyway, let's move on from making Czech Republic look so sexy to the tourists. Their tourism industry can't pay me too. One quick question. When both of you were moving out of the continent. Do you remember the airlines that you took?
To come to Australia, or
Yeah, your airline for when you moved to Perth, and your and Rumbi's airline that she took to Czech Republic. I'm asking this question because we have all of us who came to America have an airline that brought the majority of people towards America. So if it's that same airline, they owe me money. They owe me money. Come sponsor this podcast too. I'm trying to get money from everybody. But I'm just curious to see what airline, if you remember the airlines that you guys took to Czech Republic and Australia.
My very first flight to Australia was British. There's a little British Airways that goes from Harare to Johannesburg, and then Johannesburg to Perth would have been, I'm sure it wasn't, no, South African Airways, yeah.
Wow, okay.
Mine, I think, was Etihad or Emirates. I think it was Emirates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. It's not the airline. Sure. They escaped this time. So wait, how long was the flight from South Africa to Perth?
I think it's like a 13-hour flight.
Oh, not bad.
From Johannesburg to Perth.
Yeah, from Johannesburg. Yeah, I don't know. I was feeling like it might be way longer than that. I'm just wondering how many movies will I watch?
But that's like the most expensive one now because it's direct. So a lot of people now just go with Emirates. So you go Harare, to Dubai to Perth because that's cheaper.
Oh, wait. I'm trying to picture
go up
the map
and then come back down. Go up, come back down.
Isn't that longer?
Instead of just going, well, yeah, it is, but that's why it's cheaper.
So wait, from Dubai, you fly direct to
Perth, yeah.
To Perth.
Dubai flies directly to all the cities.
Wherever you go to in Australia. So let's say Perth. Where are you now in Australia?
I'm in Melbourne.
Melbourne. Okay, so from Dubai to Melbourne, how long is that?
Ooh, that's much longer. So Dubai to Perth, I think it's like 11. Then Dubai to Melbourne is like 15.
11 and 15.
Further down.
I think the longest flight I've flown was when I was in the military. I flew from Norfolk to Manama, Bahrain. And the only reason why that flight was ridiculously long, I think it was almost 24 hours. But what made it long was because we had to stop at like multiple countries, drop people off. And then,
stop, yeah.
So,
I think my longest has been 17, Rio de Janeiro and Dubai.
Oh,
that's a long flight. You like wake up and you're like, I'm still in. Yeah,
I don't know if I can, because I don't normally sleep on the plane. I just watch all the movies I know I'm not gonna watch. I'm not gonna pay money to see, and then I can criticize them or make fun of the people who like hardcore fans of those movies. So I use a long plane flight. My long flights for now, then usually I think the longest like 7-8 hours or 9 hours. That I normally do. So I just catch up on all the movies. These are the movies you guys are talking about. All right, I'm ready now. As soon as I land, guess what? I'm in town. I'm gonna talk trash about your movie now. I'm not gonna talk trash about anybody's movie before somebody says, "Oh, this is why you don't like Batman." I'm like, "Oh, here we go. Here we go. Batman fans, insufferable people." But we're not talking about Batman. But anyway, now let's move on to your professional lives. So, who shall we start with? Let's start with our forensic toxicologist. Bring back the heels, please. Can I start a petition to bring back the heels?
No? What is the bring back the heels thing? What's that petition?
Because in my bio, like on CSI, they like.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh, okay, I was like, why does he
keep
on about the heels?
It's like a joke because obviously working in the lab,
you can't. Yeah.
Now, when I read it in the bio, I was like, "Oh, that's true." I was like, "Yeah, that's one of those things that I do notice in television shows and movies. Like, how the hell are you doing this job?" And the first time a friend mentioned that, like, I was like, "Oh, wait, you're doing all this, and this is how you dress," and they're like, "Wow!" And then I was like, "Oh, that's a movie. That's why you know it's that's how you know it's a movie."
Glamorizing jobs, yeah,
because and then you meet the people who do it in real life. They're like, "Yeah, if you're not wearing the sneakers, like, yeah," I'm like, "Okay." So, but since I saw it now, I can't stop saying, "Bring back the heels." But Yeah. Don't beat me up. Don't come after me and say, "How dare you, people?" But no. So, how did you get to practice being a forensic toxicologist while in Czech Republic, or was that only on the African continent?
In Australia.
Oh, sorry, in Australia. I mean,
there's like two types of forensic toxicology. So you're gonna either do the government, which is what you guys would have typically seen on CSI, where they go to crime scenes and all that, or you can do private, which is what I do. So obviously, this is where visas come into it. When you finish school, you like, okay, I want to go for those jobs, but some jobs are only offered for citizens, or or they won't be able to give you a visa or such and such. So I never then ended up going down the crime scene government route.
Okay.
Then I just went into private sector, which is all to do with drugs, like testing people for drugs and analyzing drugs, how drugs are affecting the community, all that. So it's like the boring, I suppose, or the very technical side of toxicology, whereas the police work is more the practical side of it, where it's like you're actually going to crime scenes and looking at things. So it just depends. For me, the choice was already made. Being Zimbabwean in Australia with not being a citizen, it was like, well, you're not going to do that because you have to work with the government, and government jobs are only offered to citizens. So that decision was pretty much taken out of my hands in terms of career. I could have become now I'm a citizen, I could have circled back. By the time you go into private sector, it's like you work a certain way. So
you've eaten the forbidden fruit. That's what you mean.
Yeah,
like,
well, over here, actually the forbidden, in Australia, the government jobs are the forbidden fruit because they're much slower. Their pace is much slower.
That's everywhere. I think that's everywhere.
The hierarchies, the pay gaps, there's just so much more red tape. So if you want to move and make money moves, you have to go private. So.
Yeah, but it's still the forbidden fruit. That's I know why I said the forbidden fruit, because I've done federal, I've done private sector, and it's like you see the difference, and you're just like you've eaten the forbidden fruit. It's like I know. I can't go back.
I don't think I could have gone. I mean, sometimes I think, and also government jobs are contracted. So you like if you jump over and then if they don't have funding for that year, or you vote for the wrong political party, it affects your job. So then I didn't want to have that risk again, being Zimbabwean. You don't want to be
I would have thought that a job like yours would have been what's the word I'm looking for? Like top priority, so would have
it is in terms of the need, but it might not be in terms of staffing.
Okay.
So they'll be like, we got 10 million for crime scenes this year under this government.
Yeah.
But then the next year or 4 years later, a different government will come in and they'll be like, I actually want to redirect that money to. So obviously that means some people have to be made redundant.
Okay.
So it's not so secure. So it usually is tied to, at the most, I think it's like 18, 24-month contracts. And I didn't want that for my life, like every 2 years worrying if I'm going to have my job or not. So I just I've actually private worked for non-citizens, which is what I started.
All right. So jumping over to Czech Republic. So Rumbi, you got to fulfill your dream of being in Prague. And you're still teaching English?
Yes.
Okay.
I am.
And how, in general, how's that experience been like? Like if someone is, because for me, there's a channel that I used to follow on YouTube, Black Experience in Japan. Yeah, Black Experience Japan. And it was a lot of Black people who from everywhere. It wasn't limited to just United States, who moved to Japan. And like the first thing from majority of them was to go teach English, and that's how they got into Japan and started their way there. So like one of the biggest TikTokers in Japan is a Black young guy who teaches English to kindergarten kids. So very, very nice guy, great guy when it comes to teaching. I love the stuff he puts out. I'm not on TikTok, but his Instagram I follow him. And so what has that experience been like? And if someone is listening, it's like, I would love to get into teaching English. Well, what advice would you give to them?
So it depends where you come from, right? So there are people who teach English from the US, England, Ireland, Sweden. Depends where you come from. So my experience is very different to my colleagues who are from the US, and you know, so that's the first thing. I think it's interesting because people don't think that Africans can speak English as a native language. So it's very educational. Your role will a lot of the times be more than just educating and teaching the language. It's about educating on, you know, if you're black culture, where you come from. Africa's not a country. We're not all, you know, we don't all look like the advert for UNICEF or whatever, WHO, you know, with the fly on the kid and like, you know, that typical. So there's kind of like a discrepancy. People struggle to connect the idea of you being African, being black, and not being poverty stricken. So a lot of that, I find my job is a lot of that and kind of exposing people to that. In terms of the actual work, it's a lot of work. I was speaking to my colleague the other day and I was saying, you can't do this if you do not like it. It'll be short-lived. And I think that's why a lot of people do it for just a year and then leave, or like, yeah, you have to. But yeah, a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, you know, holding our green bomba, as we call our passports, like the Zim passport. It's a different, but it's good. I don't know. It's interesting. There's so many stories to tell. So much you go through. It's like a roller coaster of emotions, and you feel it's rewarding. Like, you know, when you hear people like, oh, teaching is so rewarding. I was like, yeah, whatever. I never saw myself doing this, to be honest, but it really is. But it's not a walk in the park, I'll tell you that. When they say teachers get 2 months off during the summer, oh my gosh, they're so lucky. It's like they need it.
Yeah, I agree. From my interactions with teachers here and from what I've seen with the treatment of teachers here, I'm like, yeah, they do need more than 2 months, to be honest. And so, yeah,
especially in a pandemic, doing it online.
So I'm a big advocate for teachers getting their reward on earth, not in heaven. That's me. That's another thing I believe in. It's and
your kids
pay them right too. Pay them right. Don't be saying there's no money to pay teachers. Like, yeah, right. Cut your paycheck and give it to them. So thank you, Amanda, for bringing that point up. So what has the whole teaching in a pandemic experience been like?
Adapt or die. It's like, these kids gotta learn. What are you gonna do?
All right, that is.
And I think you really see how I felt for the parents in a way, because, you know, as a parent, you have children also depending on systems being in place. My child will go to school, they will have that care and, you know, trying to work. So I think it was interesting to witness. You'd have parents just put their kid in front of the computer and just like breathe a deep sigh of relief. But it was entertaining. It involved a lot of dancing, a lot of hyping kids up, doing virtual PE lessons with kids, being creative with your lessons. Somehow I think I'm grateful that I was born, you know, at the cusp, you know, just right about near the digital age. Like, I was pre-digital and you know what I mean? Because the internet really took off in the 90s, if I'm correct. So I'm not afraid to adapt in that way. So it wasn't, I know some people struggled a lot more with teaching online, but you just have to figure it out. It is a lot more work to get their attention, convey things. Things happen a lot slower. But I was just grateful that we were able to still work and still, you know, do what we do. But man, it's been real. It's been a real fight.
So now are the kids back in school?
Yes, so they are back. We are back full time at school. This is quite a long time because last year we were already in lockdown at this point, I think. But we are going into more restrictions now. You know how the virus goes in waves as you go out of summer into winter, where our cases are spiking at the moment. So yeah, we just wait on government to advise what's going to happen. Maybe we'll be back at it.
Is there do you guys do the mask mandate?
So not yet, but I think they're going to implement it. We did do it for a while up until I don't know when. Well, personally, I did it until near June, wearing masks, like teaching with masks on. And then that was lifted, and I think we might go back right into that. But it's very hard to teach language with a mask on. It's a very difficult thing to do. But you do what you got to do.
All right, I respect you for that. It's not easy. It's not easy, but hey, if I could start a career right now, it's teaching. If I could, I don't know what I will teach. I don't know, but if I could get it, I don't know. It's something that I wish I could get into. To be honest, yeah. So, part of your lives is not just all about work. You guys are also there's intercultural, interracial marriage, and dealing with the pandemic, dealing with being outside of the country and continent of your birth. How do you guys relax? How do you find time to relax, and what do you do for relaxation?
I'm not yet married. I'm engaged.
Interracial relationship.
Yes.
Okay, engaged. And congratulations on your engagement.
Thank you.
And so how do you find time to relax? And and what do you do for relaxation?
I do a lot of different things.
I want to learn. I want to know.
But probably my top three are obviously watching some series or a movie. Rumbi, Insecure. We got
starting this Sunday.
Girl. You see? So there we go. That's definitely, and then obviously catching up with friends like Rumbi, even if it's like online or in person for brunch or something. But yeah, a lot of just getting my nails done, just the typical. There's nothing that I do for self-care that's very, I guess, different to most people or regimented. This is what you feel like. I mean, the pandemic really sucked because travel is always a good escape and self-care for me as well. And being grounded for like a year and a half in one place is something that I've never experienced. As I said, when I was growing up, I used to travel. So it's like, this has been the most time I spent in one place without seeing another. So that probably is the one self-care thing that I really noticed I missed a lot.
Yeah, I'm the same as Amanda. Like, I like to watch a lot of like mindless TV. YouTube is a big thing for me. I love watching YouTube shows. I don't know where it came from, but because I think a lot, if I can watch something where my brain doesn't have to operate at its usual level, that's it for me.
And switch off.
Amanda forgot to mention she's heavy on fitness. Like, she exercises a lot. She's really good.
Okay.
She
might inspire me.
I think of that.
You're taking care of your body.
When you think of it like that, yeah.
So what does she do? Cycling or what's that? What's that? The Iron Man race? Or no?
Oh no, girl. I just go to just the gym.
Okay, just the gym. I had to check.
Not Iron Man.
Yeah, but she's really focused. She's downplaying it, but she's focused.
I could tell she's downplaying.
Yeah, she's a focus. So I try workout when I can, when I'm motivated. But yeah,
you and I are on the same boat.
Running has been my general thing. I generally enjoy, but reading. I don't read as much as I used to, for sure. But I enjoy escaping in that way, watching series and shows for sure.
You got to name some series. You can't just say watching.
Insecure. Okay. Starting this in October. We ready. I May Destroy You was a show I really enjoyed this year. It was
I have
brilliant.
to watch and finish.
Yeah.
I May Destroy
It
You.
was really, really good. Clickbait. Just finished Squid Game, like everyone
Woo!
else.
I want to do a
horror.
Squid Game episode just
Yeah.
on Squid
Oh,
Game.
interesting.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
that'd
want-
be
Give me-
good.
It gave me Lord of the Flies vibes, like you
Mm.
know, like what does humanity become when we are pushed to the corner and there's
Survivalists,
nothing
yeah.
to lose? Because I think a lot of people kind of just freak out. Oh my gosh, it's disgusting. But for me, it was more than that. It was the psychology behind it. I was
Exactly.
like, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
it's great stuff. I don't know if you saw the movie Parasite, the Korean
No,
movie.
I did
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
That-
Oh,
I
you
did
should
not
watch
see
it,
it.
Rumbi.
It's
Yeah.
people
Maybe that's what I
have
watched.
been sleeping on Korean stuff. People are
Yeah,
sleeping.
Korean. Because when they won the Oscar, I was like, it's like, okay, let me see what that's about. Then, whoa, Paris,
Yeah.
it was good. So
Okay,
good.
so
Their
I-
social
I-
commentary that they drop in their artwork
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
"Sma." That's
Yeah.
Arab people say
Yeah.
Muntaza. Muntaza.
Yeah,
It's
really,
like,
really good.
yeah.
So
Old Boy is another favorite of mine.
Mhm.
It's at the end. Wait, Old Boy. There's two Old Boys. One is the American remake by Spike Lee. I don't know what Spike Lee was thinking. It's terrible. That's terrible. I love Spike Lee, but that's
I
terrible.
won't watch that one.
Don't
then.
watch that one. Watch the original. It's the
But
South
isn't
Korean
it
one.
amazing? For me, I think Squid Game, Money Heist, is
Mm.
really showing us like the world that the Hollywood isn't. There's more to Hollywood. Like there's more than Hollywood. You know what I
But
mean? Like
that's why I love streaming. That's why I love Netflix
Yeah.
existing.
Streaming
Yes, I
has
don't like
changed the game.
I don't. There's the Dave Chappelle thing. I'm not in support of that. But that aside, if Netflix had not come out and started with my favorite show is still Sense8. I know many people didn't watch it, and I'm like, you should have. We would have still had it, and I attack people for that. But
Oh,
this because if you watch Sense8, the way that show is wild. It's wild. But I love it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was one that tried to tackle diversity in a weird way that people, I don't think people's minds could comprehend it. And but Netflix came out and were like, okay, they could have just done, okay, we're gonna do House of Cards, white people only are the stars, white people are the only stories we're gonna be telling, and they would have been fine. But they were like, okay, we're gonna be different because we want to challenge the big houses that
1000%.
exist. So
Yeah.
everybody has stories. Bring everybody's stories.
Yeah.
Now you have what's the South African show? Queen
Queen Sono,
Queen
Blood
Sono.
and Water.
Blood and Water.
Mm.
There's stories from everywhere. We haven't even touched the African gods,
we
the
haven't
mythologies.
even.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows the
No.
Greek gods. Everybody knows Greek gods all the time. I'm like, how many gods are in Africa? You can tell movies from that. You can tell series from that.
1000%.
Amina is coming out this month. Amina is one of the most popular queen in Nigeria. In northern
wow.
Nigeria.
I saw
But
that
a
ad.
woman cannot rule where she's from today. That woman took over northern part of Nigeria, created a mini empire, and a woman can't rule where she's from today because they found religion. And there's a woman stay in the house. The president of Nigeria is from that part of Nigeria too. And it's like a woman belongs in the other room, and it's crazy. But if we don't bring these stories out, somebody has to put it out. So the Africa Film Festival in Burkina Faso is Ouagadougou. That's where they used to have it, but because of the pandemic and the unfortunate situation in Burkina Faso was postponed. There are a lot of creators whose work has been, not recognized. I think French markets has always recognized some of the French-speaking guys, but there's so many. Now people are like, oh Masai, we love Lupin. Even though there's only one black guy that is the main star in it, but there's so many ways you can tell the stories because, like I said, black people we're not limited to one. We're not one.
And that's
we're a
the
monolith.
thing. I think that's the thing that's at the core of me, and I think us with our podcast is layered, is that we are not one. There's no one black story.
That's right.
And when you can't see your story being told, like maybe let's share, and maybe it can touch someone and connect someone. Because I think the biggest mistake or unfortunate thing for us as black people, we've lived in silos, thinking we are the only ones going through these experiences and living this, reality. But when you start sharing, it's like, man, it's not only me, and there's power and support and understanding. And holding hands and saying like, let's go forward, like there's more to it.
Yeah.
So I think we're living at such a beautiful, beautiful time, because we are also at the age where we've seen what it was without, and so we can appreciate having.
That's right.
It's amazing. Yeah, it
It
really
is.
is.
So you just mentioned, we kind of jumped ahead, and well, since we already started mentioning it, I failed to mention in the beginning. I'd mentioned that you guys are content creators, but I didn't mention what content you were making, which was another error on my part. So forgive me for that. But you guys have an awesome podcast called It's Layered. So normally I do a plug-in at the very end of the episode, but we're already here. So let's go ahead and talk about your fantastic podcast. How did you guys come up with the name? How do you guys decide to get started with the podcast and bridge the gap between two continents, different time zones, and make something as awesome as your podcast and bring it to the world?
Well, thank you for saying that it's awesome. It's really lovely to hear for us. Obviously, we're still getting used to knowing we actually have a working and thriving podcast. But really, it was just the conversations Rumbi and I have had over the course, as we explained, of our predominantly long distance friendship. And you just think to yourself, well, do people relate to some of the things we're going through? Maybe we're not alone. Let's really delve into it. I mean, we've talked about so many topics on this episode itself, but each of them is almost like we leave it there, but we don't actually get to go really deep, obviously time allowing. So I think this was our chance to just geek out and like really get into the nitty gritties of different topics that we have come across as women, as Black women, as women not living at home, as women trying to hold on to our heritage, but also seeing a brand new world. So the name It's Layered obviously came about it actually describes what we're talking about, right? Everything we talk about has layers to it. So that's really how that all came about. Rumbi, anything you want to add?
Yeah, we would just say things like, oh, it's so layered. And we'd have these long conversations, our catch-ups, just as friends, honestly, like talking about so many things and feeling like this, oh, it can't only be us. And, just throwing out the idea, oh, we should start a podcast, and saying it a few times, I think. And then Amanda would be like, when you're ready, let me know. And then she was like, so when are we starting this podcast? And I was like, oh, we're really doing this. So it really just happened, as organically as you can think. Like it was just by virtue of us, having great conversations and wanting to kind of hear if our perspectives, if we can't be the only ones who feel this way. And the rest is, we hope to one day truly say is history, that we make some form of history.
You guys are not the only ones who feel that way. I enjoy your content, and I believe others do. And I'm glad that you guys took that step of putting it out there, because that's the thing that holds a whole lot of us back. I should begin, or maybe I wait until everything is perfect, But you guys went out there and started, and I hope you guys continue to make more awesome content and keep the consistency going, because we need your voices. We need to keep hearing about you guys and from you guys. So I know you're also involved with Black African Woman Network. What's that about too?
So that is a network basically wanting to showcase the Black African woman as we are, our unique experience. Again, we're not, homogenous. There's so many facets to us. So this was actually a platform that my sister created, which started as a blog, and then we used to do events, and then it evolved over time to deciding to create content, especially through the pandemic, and just giving other Black African women a platform and a chance to hold the mic and create in whatever form and shape. And so we were asked to create some content for them as It's Layered. We just finished a special on their YouTube channel. Sorry.
Okay.
It was just talking about a lot to do with relationships with others, relationships with ourselves. We had a panel of women and another panel with some gentlemen talking about expectations. It was called Layered Expectations. Expectations around relationships, dating, finances, whatever it may be. So it was really, really insightful, and we really enjoyed being a part of that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I just thought of someone who she fits your interest in YouTube videos, and I think she also qualifies for the Black African Woman Network. So I will definitely connect you with her. So and any other person who I think of, I will connect you with them too. So beginning to wrap it up, I appreciate both of you giving me your time. I know it was a lot you guys had to sacrifice to give me this awesome episode. So 2 fun questions we have to go to. I always give every guest these questions, and I would love to also have you guys back again, maybe for the Squid Game episode. Well, as we call it, every black person in America says Squid Games. That's how I say it now. I've had to catch myself. I said, "Oh, Squid Games," and then I was like, "Wait, why I say Squid Games?" Then somebody said, "You're black." I said, "Oh, yeah, I guess it's a black thing." So, so let's say I come to Prague or Melbourne. No, I've never been to both places, but I arrived there now. What's the first thing you say I have to eat?
Svichkova. It's a traditional Czech meal. It's dumplings with sauce and with meat. And you can have it, sometimes they put like cranberry sauce and cream on top. It's a very typical classic meal.
Oh, okay.
Dumplings. You have to have something with dumplings.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm down. Definitely down with that. And
Amanda's like, what? Melbourne is
this is a culinary capital, so I don't even know. Whatever you want is what you can do.
No. What, Amanda?
There's nothing.
I came straight to you. I just arrived in Melbourne. You picked me up. I'm like, Amanda, let's do this. What? I gotta eat. I'm hungry. I did not eat on the plane for some reason. I don't know why. I'm hungry. I'm famished. Feed me.
I'd probably take it to a Brazilian steakhouse. So if you're not a meat eater, then that might be a problem. But if you want to know where I would take you, that's where I would take you. Argentinian or Brazilian steakhouse.
Argentinian or Brazilian. And those people going to start fighting. Like, why shouldn't pick our country? Pick me first.
So
they don't like each other. Argentinians and Brazilians go after Amanda. She couldn't even pick one of you.
I'm ready for the smoke.
Start the fight.
Okay.
Start the fight.
I like your meat. But yeah, there's so much here. Like really, every day you can wake up and go and get.
So which one is your favorite though?
My personal favorite is actually dumplings. So Chinese cuisine, or sushi, Japanese.
Oh my goodness! Look, I don't want to start World War I. What is going on?
I'm a foodie. I like it all.
I'm a foodie too. I'm a foodie.
I don't pick sides. I'm very like my husband's always saying it's easy to take me out on a date because for a girl I'll eat anything.
Well, that's kind. He can take me out on a date too. I'm like that too. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm not picky. I'm not picky at all. So I can't give you one answer.
Okay, so the final fun question. I know both of you might not want to admit it publicly, but I'll go ahead and admit it on your behalf. You both dance. You got the moves. It's obvious, because from your voice, I can tell.
How is it obvious?
It's obvious. Don't worry.
We've also mentioned it on our podcast.
Everyone who's appeared on my podcast, you got the moves. That's why you're here. Okay, we don't bring moveless people here.
Rhythm.
Yeah, you got the rhythm. Yes. So I need you, and this is not even enough time, but I need you to dance for at least 1 hour. Give us 3 artists that will keep you dancing for an hour. Ooh. And you can't be cheating by giving us Beyonce or the Drake. No. That's American. Stay out. I'm doing the Trump thing now. I've built a wall. Don't come inside. We can't come into our wall. Give us from either your place. You have your artists. Give us the ones we don't. Give us something. Yeah. So
for an hour.
Yes.
It would have
that's even too little, because I'm pretty sure you guys. If we do the party now, you guys will dance like 5 hours straight. I'll be. I can't.
I'm spoiled for choice. I'm spoiled for choice. So I'm Nigerian at heart when it comes to my music. So
Nigerians are really colonized.
I would definitely have to have Burna up in there if I want to dance for an hour.
Burna Boy again.
I would have to have Tiwa Savage up in there if I want to dance for an hour.
This is serious.
From Zimbabwe, I would have to have Japreja in there if I want to dance for an hour. From South Africa, anything by DJ Maphorisa, I would dance for an hour.
Okay,
so those are my artists.
Wait, what you say his name is? DJ Maphorisa?
Maphorisa.
Okay, I think I have that DJ on my playlist. My playlist
DJ Police, I guess it would translate into something. Maybe.
I might have that DJ. Is Amapiano or?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a lot of Amapiano. So. Okay, so Tiwa Savage and DJ
He's
Maphorisa.
Making notes. He's like,
Tiwa, Burna.
You know, Burna Boy and myself live in the same area. He's from Port Harcourt boy.
He's from your state?
It's like Lucky
Dube and
we are
me,
both
right?
Port Harcourt boys.
It's like me and Lucky Dube.
Exactly.
Well, we won't go that far. We lived in the same estate.
He's your boy.
If I hadn't left Port Harcourt in 2007, we probably would have crossed each other's paths. But we have our personal beef. We have our simple beef.
How beautiful is Afro beats though at the moment?
Yeah,
like these kids are so lucky, like to actually go to a club and like dance to music from where you're from. That's just amazing.
I can't go to clubs anymore. I don't do clubbing. I do my clubbing.
If you were to go
it gives
to
me
one.
headaches. And I don't like standing in line when I'm paying money to get in. Why I gotta stand in line?
I must say, American clubbing is a bit ghetto.
It's different. It's a different world.
What?
Yeah, you guys are segregated. Like you're very much like if you don't have money, then it's not a good night out. Whereas I don't know, everywhere else in the world.
I don't think I've gone to. If you take me to a club now, you're
like that booth life you guys have. That booth life.
Booth life. Oh, I thought it was bougie, but okay, well.
Yeah, that's what I think it's. Yeah, I don't know. In America, it's just.
Let me call the White House now. We need to ban Australia and we need to ban some more countries. Don't give them visas anymore. All this.
You said when you land in Melbourne, where should I take you? Or maybe I'll take you out instead of taking you to dinner. I'll take you clubbing.
No, seriously, I do get headaches from over loud music. I don't do concerts.
That's fair. Festivals are nice though.
Yeah,
I like a good festival.
As far as the music is not, I'm not too close to the music. I'm fine. But I don't do concerts. I don't. If I do concerts, it has to be like a closed, like an indoor, like them,
intimate.
Not like them crazy boom, boom, boom,
Stadium.
boom. Yeah. I think Nigerian parties are enough for me. You know, we play our Makosa.
I feel like Zimbabweans are the little brother to Nigerians in terms of party life. Like we can't pop bottles quite the way Nigerians do, but we know how to have a good time. Like we know how to. The best partying I've done in my life is with Zimbabweans or like Zim parties. Like I will give us
Zimbabweans would take a loan to just throw a party and get broke afterwards.
Something like that.
Oh, wow.
No, but it's not even the popping bottles thing. I'm just talking about just like the energy and the
and music taste as well.
Yeah,
it's varied.
We've got the swag. We got the swag when it comes to.
We do got the swag, and then we'll be crying afterwards. Cause I almost did that when I was supposed to get married to a Nigerian. You go get that loan, and my cousin said, "Yeah, go you take a loan, $50,000, and then go." I said, "How I pay?"
Okay, that's why I said we're the little brother because you guys take it to another
level, right?
Yeah, you can't touch Nigeria on that one.
Okay, but that being said,
Rumbi, your music.
Rumbi, I was like, you're postponing your music. I was like, you think I'll forget?
All.
Yeah.
Not at all. So for me, I would have DJ Maphorisa as well for sure.
No. That overruled. You can't. You're stealing Amanda's answer.
Mr. Easy, it's your boy Easy.
Hey, yes. This is serious.
Dude, that's my guy. Like I feel like Mr. Easy and I are friends in my head. Like he's just. I'm
pretty sure I can call him now and say that you have a friend in Prague.
Yeah, for sure. He'll be like, sure. And. I mean, I can't say what Amanda's already said, but like Shasha is great. Sun El Musician is great. I like me some, what's his name, man? Oh my gosh, the name. Takura.
I co-sign all of Rumbi's.
Takura from Zimbabwe.
Takura.
Bring it on. There's just so much good music, man. Like, No,
Yeah.
you are spoiled for choice.
Nobody mentioned my home girl, my true relative,
Mm.
my one true relative. Nobody mentioned her. I'm disappointed.
Oh.
Busiziwa.
Busiswa.
Busiziwa. Okay, yeah. You know, I was using
But you
French
said-
accent this time.
Busisiwa, yes. Sure.
Yeah.
Blame the person I
Busiswa was
introduced us.
good too.
She's
No,
cool
she's
too.
great. What do you mean she's good? She's great. Oh, I'm fine. We're deleting this. Let's delete the
You
episode.
said you
Delete
said
the
dance
episode.
for an hour, so an hour
Yeah.
has to have a big catalog. I don't really know as many.
Yeah,
of
you
her,
need
so-
a lot of, and I know her like
an hour.
the song that really gets me going is Power, which is on the
Oh,
gift.
wait.
But you said we're not allowed to put any Beyonce, so
Well,
we just,
okay. We take a technicality there. Let me call security. Let me call my management. And okay, the Supreme Court said you can put that in there because yes,
Yeah.
that's one of my daughter's favorites. So
No,
yes,
it really is.
that's
It's great. That
Yeah, but
song
it's-
will get you hyped.
it is. It does. It does.
anything.
It gets me hyped.
Yeah.
It gets me hyped. 100%.
There's so many. Even Moonchild, Sunny I love.
Yeah.
Even there's just so many
Wait,
artists.
any artists from Czech Republic in here?
No.
Oh my goodness.
You said only from the motherland.
Yeah.
You say that?
And I don't
When did I
even-
say that? Yeah. Okay.
Well, you said no Beyonce. We assumed
And
that.
dancing
obviously.
for an hour, it'll be more like classical music if I involve the Czech art.
Hey.
I don't really listen to Czech hip hop or.
Now,
'cause I-
don't
I
put me in
don't.
trouble. I don't want to get in trouble here. Let me just mind my business and I will stay in my lane right now. Don't want somebody to come and start writing an essay to me and say, "How dare you not include Czech Republic?" I said, "I didn't."
No,
Go after its layered podcast. I will give you their socials. Go after them. You know? All right.
I don't know much Czech music, to be honest.
Final question.
Mm.
So, what would you like to leave the audience with? You know, freestyle. You know, you can drop a Tiwa Savage line. You can drop Mr. Easy or Burna Boy or anyone. But yeah, from both of you, what you like to leave the audience with? Your thing.
Wow, good question. I think the notion that we can all be seen. Black people, we're very nuanced. There's different. We're not just one. We're not just a strong Black woman and that's it. You know, there's so many layers to us, and we should celebrate all those layers and consider them and get a chance to talk about them. And I think I just want our listeners to always remember that when you're dealing with someone who's of color or who's Black, especially, that we're not what you think we are. You know, there's so many more versions and I mean, there's so many countries in Africa, and we shouldn't just be painted as one.
Yeah.
And I think now we're getting to get in this new space where we're celebrating that each country is different and each country is to be celebrated for its differences.
Beautiful.
I agree with Amanda for sure. I would say, Africa, our time is now, and let us not be shortchanged for the value that we bring and the culture that we bring. And I hope you are proud to be of the motherland and come from the motherland, because there's so much soul and there's so much we bring to the table. And we're just getting started. So yeah, I hope you feel proud. For too long, as we alluded to earlier in the conversation, we've, been afraid or shy or embarrassed, but like own it, truly, truly own it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for those beautiful gems that you dropped there. How can people find you on, where's the best place to get your content?
So we are at It's Layered on Instagram, at It's Layered Pod on Twitter. And the best place to listen to our podcast is all your favorite podcasting platforms. So Spotify, Apple, Google, we everywhere. We're in most places. So please check us out on there. We're also on YouTube. So we have our podcasts are also visual, so you can check them out there. So best place to get in touch with us is at It's Layered on Instagram. That's nice and simple.
Awesome. And I'll add that to the show notes, and I'll tag all the socials when the post goes out on social media. So for everyone listening, don't forget, go on Apple Podcast and give 5 stars to its Layered Podcast and a positive review. And also do the same for me, but make sure you give its Layered 5 stars and a positive review, no negative review. Do that. Send an email, send it in private. They don't need that publicly, but do the right thing. It's the right thing to do. And stay awesome. Thank you for the privilege of your company. And thank you, ladies, for giving me your time. I really appreciate you all. We'll have you all back again for more episodes. I love the work you're doing. Keep doing a great job. And yeah, keep staying awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
All righty. And that's a wrap. See you next week, people. Thanks for listening to White Label American. If you enjoyed the show, we'll appreciate if you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you have any questions, comments, or have someone who will be a good guest on the show, or you want to be on the show, send us a message at whitelabelamerican@gmail.com. And make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at White Label American. Thank you for your support.